Thank you so much for joining us. Last weekend in Worcester, Massachusetts Democratic activists gathered for their party convention, talked about a number of different things, some of which we're going to get into in our conversation today with the chairman of the Massachusetts Democratic Party, longtime Democratic activist, Democratic nominee for lieutenant governor in 2014, party chair since 2023, Steve Kerrigan. Steve, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks.
So you had the convention.
Yes.
Clearly, everybody in that building is united on one topic, at least, which is denying Donald Trump another term.
Yes.
But certainly not unified on all issues. The Middle East, the environment, taxation. Where do you think the most work needs to be done as a party to unify the party? On what issue?
So I will say this. First, thanks for having me. It was a fantastic convention. We had thousands of Democrats, and I was there from the wee hours of the day. And when I left there around 2-something in the afternoon, and I went outside and saw that it was an 80-degree, beautiful day, it really reminded me that these people all, thousands of them, it was probably 2,500 people in the building, all focused on what is really, really critically important is to make sure that Democrats and their agenda are elected again in November. And so, yes, there are differences, but we're a big tent party, and we're allowed to have differences within our party. I think what folks understood coming out of Saturday was, despite those differences, our leaders and our candidates are the ones who stand up for a stronger and more fair economy, for better housing opportunity, for health care access for folks and education. I mean, and they understand that there are differing views on other issues, but in large measure, we're in lockstep.
What is the economic philosophy of the Massachusetts Democratic Party?
Well, I don't know that we as a party have an economic philosophy.
You have a platform.
We do have a platform, and it is about creating opportunity. Creating opportunity for folks through things like a stronger education system. First of all, if your economy isn't right, and your own personal economy is included in that, nothing's right. So if you don't have food to eat, you're not going to be a stronger worker or a better student. If you don't have a good education, it's going to impact your ability to get a job. If you don't have health care, you're going to be sicker and not able to attend work. So all of those things play into how we can build a better economy, not just for our members and people in the Bay State, but for everybody.
Well, your party platform, which is, at this point, it's 3 years old, right? The one on your website.
Yeah.
Any plans to update that?
We do it every 4 years. So we're going to start the process.
Next year.
We're going to start the process this fall, where we'll appoint a committee and we'll go through it.
Well, in the current party platform, there's lots and lots of calls for new taxation. Mayor Wu in Boston wants the ability to jack up commercial tax rates to cover shortfalls, potential shortfalls caused by the collapse of the downtown office market. She wants to be able to jack up the commercial tax rates in order to hold residential taxpayers harmless. There's big-time pushback on that from real estate interests, from business owners, from many Democrats. Do you have any concerns about that and the notion that some people look at this, look at other tax talk, and feel like, here we go, back to Taxachusetts? Yeah,
except first, it's leaders like Michelle Wu, Maura Healey, others have a difficult job to do to run the Commonwealth or our capital city. I happen to be the chair of the select board in my hometown. We just had this conversation the other day about our master plan. And one of the priorities that we have is diversifying our tax base so that residents don't have to bear the brunt of the impact of increased costs.
Well, that means encouraging business development.
Business development, yes.
Right. How do you do that if you're jacking the taxes up on them?
Well, first of all, we don't do policy at the party. We do have a platform that encourages fair taxation. I know that the mayor is going to make some difficult decisions to balance her budget. She has been a fantastic leader of the city of Boston and has been a great Democrat, and we support her.
Really? Because a lot of commercial people in both small and larger business owners don't feel she's so terrific. They feel like she gives them the wicked cold shoulder.
Well, that's for them to decide. Yeah, I think
you don't observe that.
I don't observe that. No, and look, it is a very challenging job to be the mayor of a city of that size. Also, in a time when we're coming out of a pandemic, where massive office buildings that had lots of folks coming into town, spending lots of money in our communities, closed or virtually empty. Trying to reimagine how a modern city works isn't done easily, and I think in the face of those tasks, she's doing a remarkable job.
Welcome back to our conversation with the chairman of the Massachusetts Democratic Party, Steve Kerrigan. And Steve, I'm sorry about all these policy questions, but
all right.
In theory, that's what the party is about, right? The Healy administration has been pretty clear. They oppose the ballot question headed for your ballot this fall that would scrap the MCAS as a high school graduation requirement. But the party platform endorses it, basically. I mean, it doesn't endorse the specific question, but it voices opposition to high-stakes testing. Which is it?
Well, look, I wasn't chair of the party when the platform was passed. I'm a strong Democrat, and as you know, I ran the national convention back in 2012, and we also approved a platform. Platforms are a set of guiding principles that not every member of the party is required. We don't have a litmus test that you have to adhere to every piece of it without fail. It is a list of guiding principles that tell us who we are from an ideal perspective about the party. And so, look, the governor's going to have different positions on aspects of the party, the platform, and so are members of the legislature, and so are rank-and-file Democrats. And that doesn't mean that they can't be an effective and successful leader in the party.
Last time I checked this, it was some years ago, a majority of the delegates to the state Democratic Convention were members of the Mass Teachers Association. Is that still true?
Not a majority. There's a lot, but not a majority. Same thing with the national convention. There's a lot of educators. I mean, educators understand the impact of public policy on the work that they do and on the lives of the students that they teach, so they're very much invested in it.
Well, that union on a number of fronts has staked out some pretty hard left positions. What is the relationship these days between the party and the MTA?
Perfectly fine. Look, my mother was an MTA member for 41 years. My sister's an MTA teacher in Lunenburg. They do fantastic work on behalf of their members, and they, along with their brothers and sisters and siblings in organized labor, fight very, very hard for protections for those members, and I think they're fantastic.
Is the party more liberal than the voters?
I think in large measure, parties on either side are more something than average voters. Most voters ideological, yeah. I mean, we stake out positions and places on the electoral spectrum that shows what we represent and who we are. The average voter doesn't look at things monolithically and want just all of what the Democrats have or just all of what the Republicans have. They want solutions and problems solved. They want results, which is what, frankly, Joe Biden's been giving them and what Maura Healey's been giving them. And I think you're going to continue to see that. And that's why Democrats are going to have a successful fall, because they've shown, regardless of who is in charge in Washington and in the House and the Senate, that President Biden has gotten things done for people. And so it's not about Democrat or Republican. It's about what's best for the United States of America. And this is a president who has done more on jobs and the economy than any president since FDR, more on infrastructure than anyone since Dwight Eisenhower, more on judges since JFK, more on health care since LBJ, who passed Medicare and Medicaid. So people look at the results that Joe Biden is delivering, and that's why they're going to show up. They're not looking at necessarily the intricacies of a party platform. Well, they're looking at what the leadership is able to get done.
Well, if all that's true about President Biden, how do you account for what the polls suggest is an erosion of some of his traditional Democratic base?
Yeah, look, well, first of all, every time polls since 2017 have said Democrats are going to lose, one thing happened. Voters voted. Like, that's the one thing that happened. Every time people said we were going to lose miserably in the midterms in 2018, instead we won significantly. They said he was not going to win in 2020. He's president of the United States, despite a huge chunk of the country believing that he's not, and a bunch of Republican members of the House. They said we weren't going to be able to, we're going to have a red wave. Remember the red wave of 2022? That only existed if you were a voter 45 and over. People showed up, and we kept the Senate and grew. We kept big victories in state houses in 2023. Andy Beshear was reelected in Kentucky as governor. I mean, we've enshrined abortion rights in Ohio and Kansas on ballot questions, because when the polls say Democrats and our ideals are going to lose, one thing happens: voters vote, and we win.
Thanks so much for being here.